Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. For those who don't know, my name is Jim Williams. I'm a 7-time Emmy-Award winning journalist, television producer, director, writer, and broadcast executive. I covered my first national presidential campaign in 1972 as a stringer for the Associated Press in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. In 1976, in college, as a full-time reporter for Associated Press, again, covered the campaign and the election in the Bay Area. 1980 and 84, I covered it nationally for CNN, and from 1988 through now, 2020, I've covered it for my own company, LJC LLC Media, which is a Washington-based group, and we cover elections in the United States for 10 international broadcast networks. So, in all the time, going back to 72, there's never been an election like 2020. We all are living in a world of COVID-19. And the pandemic that has gripped the world is undoubtedly going to affect the 2020 presidential election. Now, there are a couple things we need to get off the board quickly. One, it is very unlikely that President Trump will win the popular vote. Okay, he lost it by 3 million to Hillary Clinton in 2016. Biden will likely win that again, and I'm not speaking out of school. I've had many conversations with the Trump camp. That's a given to them. So the key number is 270, okay? That's the number of electoral votes that it takes to become president. And that's why the swing states become important. We'll get back to that in a moment. But that's a couple things to remember. One, popular vote very likely will go to Joe Biden. I don't know if it'll be by 3 million like it was with Hillary Clinton. It may be a little less, maybe a little more. 270, that's the key, because that is, of course, as I said before, the Electoral College vote. That's what it takes to get you into the presidency. Now, should Donald Trump be reelected, which is certainly a possibility, and he can garner those 270 votes, he would be the first president in modern history to be elected to a second term after losing 2 elections in the popular vote. It's never happened in modern history. Okay? So, as we begin the process of covering this very unconventional campaign and election, it really starts with what the late, great former Speaker of the House from Massachusetts, Thomas Tip O'Neill, once said, that all politics are local. And it is. He was right. And it still is. Despite the fact that this is a national election for the President of the United States, and of course, as I said before, for about 8 swing senatorial seats that are up. It really is 57 individual elections. So we've got the 50 states, the District of Columbia, and 6 territories, all who will be voting for president. In each case, all of them have their own set of rules. It's variation on a theme, set of rules. So that's what makes it 57 individual races that accumulatively will elect either Donald Trump to a second term or Joe Biden to his first. So how did we start covering it? Well, we began the process, frankly, back in 2018, right after the midterms. In the process of, in the premise of all politics being local, as I said before. For us, that means cultivating relationships with people in supervisor elections offices in key battleground districts. That means relationships with local newspaper and television and radio journalists who for years have been covering their own state and know it far better than we do. It's that network of people on the ground in each one of these states that we live on to get you the right information as we go through the process of electing a president and Senate and House. We'll speak for a moment about the Senate and House. The Senate, there is definitely a potential for a Democratic flip of the Senate. At the very least, there's a very good chance of the Democrats, if nothing else, narrowing the margins. 53-47 right now, it could be 50-50. The House is very likely to stay in Democratic hands. I don't see that one going, flipping back to the GOP in this cycle. I think Speaker Pelosi has a strong enough team to stay there. Every cycle, you're going to see seats flip. Some will go back to Republicans who flipped in 2018 to Democratic and vice versa. So plus minus, it's not going to be that big of an effect. The real key race is the president's race and the senatorial races. So, as I said, we've been mining the ground. Polls are meaningless to us, okay? What we're going for is data every day. What we do is we go in, we sit down, we start the process of checking each and every region. We go northeast, we go southeast, mid-Atlantic, Midwest, Southwest, mountain states, western states, and looking through that entire process. Now, when it comes to the presidential election, of the 50 states, we can quickly say 40 of them we know with a very strong degree of certainty that they're going to go either for President Trump or for Joe Biden. Okay? That leaves 10. Of those 10, 4 of those states, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, are unlikely to turn Democrat. But there's an old saying in politics that demographics are destiny. And the demographics in those states would lead one to believe that the destiny is eventually they could become democratic states. We'll know a little bit more about that in what happens in this election. There's 6 states, the same 6 states, that was the roadmap to President Trump winning in 2016. Going back to 2016 for a moment, what I like to do is get into contact with the campaigns the final weekend of the push to the Tuesday election. On the Friday prior to election, I spoke to Robbie Mook, who was campaign coordinator for the Clinton campaign, in his office in Brooklyn. And I actually still have the tape of our conversation. And Robbie game planned it out for me on how Clinton was going to win. And at the end, I said, well, okay, what would it take for Trump to win? And he said, well, it's basically you'd have to draw an inside straight. You'd have to win 6 states, which would get him to the 270 mark. But I don't think that's going to happen. Okay. On Sunday, I spoke to Eric Trump and Al Hicks over the Trump campaign. Same questions to them. They very quickly went directly to what Robbie had said. We have focused on 6 states. We need to win those 6 states. If we win those 6 states, put that with the additional states that the Republicans traditionally hang on to, we can get to 220. Well, I think we all know what happened in the end there. Robbie was wrong, and Hope and Eric were right. Part of our development, as I said before, starts with supervisor of elections locally. It starts with hardworking print reporters and radio people and TV people who just live in these communities and know these communities and know what hot buttons going on, and they can tell you what's going on. It's also important to know the campaigns as well. My relationship with President Donald Trump began in 1984 when he was an owner of the New Jersey Generals of the USFL. Over the years from 84 through 2020, I've probably interviewed Donald Trump over a dozen times. Last time was in 2014, just prior to his announcing that he was running for office. Interviewed him at his new golf facility in Northern Virginia. Joe Biden, I met in 1993, covering the Senate. Ironically, the first time I had any time to really chat with him was when I was going to Philadelphia to a family affair for a weekend, and he was going home to Delaware on the train, and we bumped into each other in Union Station. We sat down in the dining car and had a conversation between Washington and Wilmington. And from that point forward, we had a very good relationship of conversations and the ability to contact and talk to his office. I went to him whenever I needed to. It's very important to have good relationships within these two camps. You will get to know the personalities, you will get to know the players, you'll get to know how these operations are being run. That's what gives you the insight to give you all the best possible information. Because if you know when someone is telling you the truth, and you know when somebody is a little bit afraid that things are not going well, neither team is that great at poker playing. There's definitely, you can tell when someone is a little freaked out about what's happening and when someone is confident. So that's a factor to go in with all the other stuff. So let's start, as I said before, we start on the ground. We watch what's going on in a number of counties, about 25 counties nationwide. Counties in and around the suburbs of Philadelphia, counties in and around the suburbs of Pittsburgh, counties in and around the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, suburbs in and around the county, in the city of Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, Flint, Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Green Bay, and Madison, Wisconsin, Phoenix, Arizona. These are places that we looked at, of course, in the state of Florida. It's the I-95 corridor from Jacksonville south to Miami. It's the I-4 corridor from Tampa, St. Petersburg across to Daytona. Those are the counties you continually watch because they are the bellwethers. Bellwether meaning, of course, the counties that traditionally, and we can't say for 100%, but traditionally, tell us who's going to win that state. Okay. So we are in constant contact with all of these people. We don't pay attention to the polls. We talk to them on a daily basis. We get the feel for what's going on. And that way, come election day, November 3rd, we've got a grip on where the race is prior to the final day of voting. Now, as we said before, 2020 is a different world. We're all living in a COVID-19 world. That means early voting is going to be key. That means mail-in voting, whether it's mail-in or absentee, is critical. And who shows up on the day of the election on November 3rd? Where are the polling places? I mean, what we have learned in 2018 and we've learned in the primaries is polling places have changed. Things, with regard to vote by mail has changed. We will be watching for voter suppression. Situations in Georgia, in Wisconsin, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, other states, but those are key states where voter suppression has been challenged. We will watch for that. We will watch for the post office and see, what's the post situation in each one of those communities. How long has it been in Philadelphia, for instance? If you mailed a letter, and how long has it been since you got it, right? These types of questions are going to go there because it's going to go to how things are slowing you down or moving fast. I will say this about voting by mail. I personally voted by mail since every election since 1980 because I've been working. Voting by mail is very safe. It's very good. It's not a problem. It is, however, important that if you haven't voted by mail before, that if this is the way you choose to vote, and that's fine, make absolutely certain, 100% certain, that you follow every one of the instructions to the T. You do not want your vote to be tossed because you forgot to do something that was on a list that was in black and white in front of you. So please, if you do decide to vote by mail, and as I said before, I've done it since 1980, that you follow the directions to the letter and then put it in the mail and get it out as soon as possible. So let's move now to November 3rd. Normally, in the wee hours of the morning, we know who the next president of the United States is. I can recall in 2016, I filed my final report at 3:46 a.m. on Wednesday morning, saying that Donald Trump had defeated Hillary Clinton and was the 45th president of the United States. I believe, because of mail-in votes, because of slow processes which some states take, that it's very unlikely that we will know on the 4th, the 5th, perhaps even the 6th, who has won the 2020 presidential election. Now, let me say that it is our job as members of the Fourth Estate and the press to follow every lead and wherever it takes us, to make certain that just because we don't know doesn't necessarily mean anything nefarious is going on. It can be just a matter of the fact that some states do not handle counting absentee ballots or mail-in ballots as quickly as they do more traditional ballots, okay? So if you don't know in 2 or 3 days, don't panic. Let us work hard to make certain that we follow through on everything that we are supposed to do, which is to find out if the election is being done fairly and honestly and transparently for the American people. That is our job. I will say this for the supervisors of elections. Do they have some problems from time to time? Yes. Are they, for the most part, accurate and honest? Yes, they are. So I think you could take a breath and say, I don't think anybody's going to, overtly cheat here. I don't think that's going to be an issue. It could be. I don't think we can rule it out. There could be some shenanigans that could happen. However, if that is the case, I guarantee you that we will let you know. In 2018, as a harbinger of things to come, in Detroit, I was covering just checking out the Michigan situation. And right around the 3 counties that circle the city of Detroit, there were 75 attorneys there watching every last move that was being made. And they were from the Republican side, the Democratic side, and other interested parties who wanted to be involved in checking and making sure that everything's legal. As of 24 hours ago, my count was nearly 3,000 lawyers are going to be being deployed campaign-wise by the Democrats, Republicans, and these special interest organizations nationwide to watch over every polling place that they can get their hands on or be around to make certain that everything is done above board. There is a very good possibility that, like in 2000, we all remember the hanging Chad situation, that there could be races so close that a recount is necessary. I think, quite frankly, that the potential of 3 or 4 Floridas is in the cards. There might be, certainly the president seems to be setting it up in a litigious way, that they'll pull the trigger on doing, issuing lawsuits and and trying to find out through the courts who won. It's going to get messy, folks. All right. It has the potential. Let's put it that way. It has the potential of being very messy. Democracy is messy. It's the old joke about, you don't want to see the sausage being made. Well, in this case, we want a fair and honest election. And if that means it's settled in the courts, it's not the best way to do it. It's not the cleanest way to do it. And it's certainly not the way that most people would want it to happen. But if that's the way we're going to get a fair and honest resolution, then so be it. My hope is that sometime within 48, 72 hours after the final votes are cast, that we do have a strong understanding of who is going to be the next president of the United States, whether it is a re-election of Donald J. Trump or whether it is Joe Biden's first bite at the apple. We'll find out. But rest assured that it's going to be interesting. Rest assured that some key things you're going to need to watch is watch for the number 270. Watch what goes on in Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Minnesota, Arizona, and Wisconsin. That's where it's going to be decided. And right now, my hope is, as I said before, that we'll have that resolution shorter period of time than later. But the potential of messiness is there. And Jeffersonian democracy is such that we want it to be done fairly. We need it to be done fairly. And it is our job to make certain that we follow the process from beginning to end and make certain that it is done all above board. And you have my word that, we will do it. And my colleagues, no matter what the network you may follow, I'm quite certain they will do it as well. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Hope you've learned something. Hope you had some fun. If you have any questions, you can always hit me up at Jim Williams Media. That's jimwilliamsmedia@gmail.com. I thank you for your time. Look forward to chatting with you again sometime soon. Be well, be sure to vote, and stay healthy. Until next time, be well, take care.